and the environment are highly linked. Remember, we are animals. It's not that we don't live outside of the environment. Even when we're in this room made from all of these materials, we are in an environment. We are part of our environment. And Winona LaDuke and her people recognized this, and this was their way of thinking about the world, their worldview. And so she set out to try to reconstitute her people and reconstitute the ways of her people, which were far more sustainable than the business as usual, the way that people generally do things here in America. Now, when I use the word sustainability, I want to be very clear about what I mean about that. Does anybody here, let's see, what grades have I done? Fourth grade, they're fourth grade, right? Yeah. From fourth graders, what do I mean by sustainability? The young man, I think wearing purple with his hand up. Yes, you would, for sure.
Sustainability, I guess it's the ability to sustain.
That is true. It is the ability to sustain. Can you be more specific? Can anybody add something to that from the fourth graders? No? How about, who's pointing to? Young man, are you raising your hand or are you pointing to someone else?
There's another.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got you. Who's raising their hand? Young lady who everybody's pointing to.
It's kind of when, some things are more sustainable than others. So some things have sustainability much easier to keep going or to sustain.
Absolutely, you're absolutely right. There are some choices that we can make that mean that everybody can have that choice into the future. And that's, sustainability essentially means humans making choices that allow for future generations to make the same choices. And why I want to be specific about that is because notice I'm talking about humans, I am not talking about other organisms. Sustainability is all about human concern with human survival into infinity. It's important to know. Sustainability is about what human concern for other humans. Now, it may have benefits for other organisms, but it's really about humans' concern for other humans. So, Winona LaDuke had a concern about sustainability. She was concerned about people, her people in particular. And so she went ahead and got a degree from Harvard, in fact, in rural economic development. So she was interested in how do people in rural areas basically spend money, develop resources like businesses, develop agriculture. How do they keep a community together, a sustainable community? So while you and I may live in apartments that are above stores, and right around the corner is our barber, and down the other street might be our school or whatnot, in rural areas, things are a little slightly different. And so people have to plan how to bring services in. But Winona LaDuke wanted to make sure that those services that came in, served her people, but also were sustainable, right? That they used resources well to preserve the land that her people had originally inhabited. So, very young age, at 18, so don't think that you can't make a change now. I know that you can make a change because you've made these lovely hats. She spoke in front of the UN, so right here in New York City, and she was very interested in Native American issues at that time. She became involved in a lawsuit. She was actually a teacher, she's not a lawyer, she's actually a high school teacher. She got involved in a lawsuit to get the land back that the government had stolen. And from there, she began to realize that if she could bring her people back together around using the land and living on the land in many ways, and the ways that they had, their elders had taught them, that she could get support for this kind of effort. So she founded the White Earth Land Recovery Project. It's still going on. They're still trying to make sure that they can, still trying to buy land. I think they've bought about 30,000 acres out of, I think, 100,000 or more. And she has been inducted into the National Women's Hall of Fame, and actually she ran for vice president twice, although you probably didn't know that, because it was on a party that many people don't know about. So she's taking a leadership role, and she's acting as a hero in her community. One last one. Quote, actually. We tell our stories to the children. It's incumbent on us to offer oral history because no one else will. We make sure the kids are part of everything. She believes that. I believe that. I think your teachers here believe that. You are storytellers. You are continuing a story, you're also storytellers, and you're really important to us. Last person, Rosa Hildo Ramos. Anybody heard of her? No. Another person we should know about. She founded the Communities United Against Contamination, and again, not actually in this case, not like Administrator Jackson, didn't come from education in the environmental field, didn't do an undergraduate or graduate degree. She actually was concerned about pollution, the kind of pollution, in fact, that Dr. Kite just talked about, and she was concerned about pollution coming from a particular organization, the Puerto Rico Electric Power Authority. And they were polluting not only carbon dioxide, but they were polluting other kinds of things right into the land and the water, in a wetlands where she was, a place where she was living. And so she said, no, I'm not gonna have that in my community, right? So we have to ask ourselves as heroes, what are we gonna say no to? And then what are we going to do about it? And she said, no, I don't want this kind of pollution in my community, it's too important, right? The people are too important. And so she got a $7 million judgment against this power authority. And in that $7 million, they found that the company was responsible for increasing respiratory illness and other health-related ailments. And how she came to this is because her parents died. And her parents had been using a respirator. Anybody ever seen a respirator that folks might use that has a mask and people may carry oxygen? Anybody see that? And her parents had that apparatus. And when they died, because a lot of people didn't have money where she lived, she wanted to give that apparatus to someone else who needed it. Because so many people were sick with respiratory illness. They couldn't breathe well. And then she found out she had too many choices. There were too many people who needed this. And that disconcerted her so much that she said, I need to do something about this. So she not only was thinking about, well, we need money so that we can take care of people, but she thought about, well, what does the next generation need? And she realized the next generation needs access to the natural resources in the area of Puerto Rico where she was living. And so she helped save what's called the Las Chuzarias mangrove, which is a wetland, from development, because people wanted to come in and develop it. That means they wanted to build on it. And that was important because, do you know what mangroves do? Who haven't I called on? What class group haven't I called on? Yell out. Have I done them all? First graders? All right. What do mangroves do, young man? Absolutely. Absorb a lot of carbon dioxide. They're also very wet, and what they do is the mangrove trees hold moisture and hold the soil in place so that it decreases flooding in nearby areas. Another thing that you maybe didn't know is that juvenile organisms like juvenile fish, when we say juvenile, we mean small fish that are not fully developed, small crabs, small shrimp, they all live in these mangroves. So mangroves are an ecosystem that is very important to sustain what we call sustained biodiversity and sustain ecosystems, and provide us with a lot of what we call ecosystem services. So she thought, well, I need to make sure that the money goes not only to help victims of pollution, but to save something of our ecosystem for the future. And she got the Bacardi Corporation, and many of you should know what Bacardi is, but it's a corporation that does a lot of sugar farming in Florida, or in Puerto Rico and Florida actually. And so they have a lot of land they're doing agriculture on, and they're also involved in, they also pollute in some cases because agriculture has a lot of nitrogen and other kinds of pesticides and things like that that companies put on the ground. And she got Bacardi to give her community 10 acres of land in order to preserve this area as well. So she's still working. She got Walmart to give her community $100,000. So she's doing all she can to preserve an ecosystem so that her children and her community can be healthy into the future. I feel like I skipped there. So what does she say? She says, I work to protect my family and my community against pollution. If small children are treated with respect, that's each of you, who is better prepared to convey a strong message defending the future of our natural resources than our children? I believe that's true. So because I wanted you to think about being a hero. I'm going to ask you this question. Can you be an environmental hero? What do you all think? Yeah! Excellent. I'm going to challenge you to do that. So, I believe you can be an environmental hero, and I'm going to challenge you along 3 sustainable behaviors, 3 sustainable actions that you can take in order to be an environmental hero. One is, you can use less water when you're brushing your teeth, right? Excellent. There's a hero. Right? So you turn off your water while brushing your teeth, you can save 8 gallons of water. Excellent. I hear a lot of I do. That's so wonderful. You can use less energy by turning off your lights. How many people do that? Excellent. Only 10 to 15% of electricity that comes out of incandescent bulbs, those are the light bulbs that are hot and round, right? Not the curly ones. It results in light. The rest is heat, which is why they're so hot. And here's how you know that those bulbs are inefficient. Does anybody have an easy bake oven, or is that? All right. What do you use in an easy bake oven? A light bulb, right? Yeah, that's not a very efficient light bulb if you can cook muffins with it. All right. The next thing you can do is enjoy nature by learning about plant and animal conservation. That's what I study. So go outside, enjoy the parks. Enjoy, if you can get upstate New York or Connecticut or even New Jersey. Go, okay? And read some things about plants and animals and biodiversity. You can go to our website, the American Museum of Natural History, and look up the Center for Biodiversity and Conservation, or look up ology, and you can learn more about plants and animals there. The last thing I would say you can do is recycle. You can put more papers in bottles, and I'm glad to hear that the 6th grader is going to do that in the cafeteria. You can recycle, put them where they belong. Yeah, exactly. So by recycling, you can save tons of waste. That money can be used for better things like teacher salaries and whatnot. So that's something very important in today's world. So I'm going to ask you, how are you going to choose to be an environmental hero? And you have some choices right now, because you're going to be given the option of choosing one of these, what we're calling sustainable action badges. And so your teachers have the badges. I think they distributed them in the classroom. And you're going to take one of these badges. You can put your name on it, you can decorate it, you can cut it out, you can do whatever you like, and place it on what we're going to call a sustainable action badge wall, where everybody in your school can see how your school has chosen to be environmental heroes all. Thank you very much.